Al Pacino is one of the greatest actors who ever lived, but what most people don't know is that he almost never made it at all. His story isn't about talent being discovered, it's about surviving when the entire world tells you to quit. Alfredo James Pacino was born on April 25, 1940, in East Harlem, New York. His parents separated when he was 2. His father abandoned the family, and Al never saw him again. His mother struggled with depression and moved them into her parents' apartment in the South Bronx, one of the poorest, most dangerous neighborhoods in America. Al grew up watching his mother suffer. She worked multiple jobs, but could barely afford food. They were evicted constantly. Al slept on a mattress on the floor. He said in interviews that he remembers being hungry most of his childhood, not starving, but that constant gnawing hunger that never quite goes away. School was a disaster. Al couldn't focus, couldn't sit still. He failed almost every class. At 14, he started skipping school entirely. He'd go to the movies instead, watching the same films over and over. That's where he felt alive, in those dark theaters watching Marlon Brando and James Dean transform into other people. His mother begged him to stay in school. But at 17, Al dropped out completely. His mother was devastated. Their relationship became strained. She wanted him to get a steady job, to be practical. Al wanted to act. She thought he was throwing his life away. At 18, Al's mother died. She was only 43. Years of stress and poverty had destroyed her health. Al was left with his grandparents, broke, no education, and no plan. Most people in his situation would have given up on their dreams. Al doubled down. He started taking acting classes, paying for them with whatever jobs he could find. Messenger, busboy, janitor, movie theater usher. His teachers saw something in him immediately. Raw talent, intensity, a depth that came from real suffering. But talent wasn't enough to pay rent. Through his 20s, Al was essentially homeless. He crashed on friends' couches. Sometimes he slept in theaters where he was rehearsing. He ate one meal a day when he was lucky. His friends from the Bronx thought he'd lost his mind. They'd see him in torn clothes, getting thinner, chasing this impossible dream. His first real break came when he was accepted into the actor's studio, where Brando had trained. But even that didn't lead to success. Al did off-Broadway plays for years, making almost no money. He was brilliant on stage, but nobody in Hollywood knew who he was. He was 30 years old, still broke, still struggling. Then, in 1971, director Francis Ford Coppola was casting The Godfather. He wanted Al Pacino for Michael Corleone. But Paramount Studios hated the idea. They thought Al was too short, too ethnic, too intense. They wanted a conventional movie star. Coppola fought for months. He threatened to quit. Finally, the studio agreed to a screen test. Al Pacino walked onto that set carrying 2 decades of rejection, poverty, and hunger. Everything he'd suffered, he put into Michael Corleone. The studio executives watched the screen test in silence. Then they approved him. The Godfather changed everything. Overnight, Al went from sleeping on couches to being nominated for an Oscar. But success brought new challenges. Al struggled with fame, the attention, the expectations, the loss of privacy. It overwhelmed him. He started turning down roles, missing opportunities, sabotaging himself. In the 80s, his career declined. He made bad choices, mediocre films. People whispered that he was washed up, that he'd had his moment and blown it. But then Scent of a Woman came along. His performance as a blind, bitter veteran earned him his first Oscar after 8 nominations. He was 52 years old. Today, Al Pacino is 84. He's made over 50 films. He never married, though he's had relationships and children. He said that acting is the only thing he's truly good at, the only thing that makes sense of his life. When asked about his success, Al always returns to his childhood, to his mother, to those years of struggle. He says hunger taught him everything. Not metaphorical hunger, actual, physical hunger. Knowing what it means to have nothing makes you appreciate everything. Al Pacino didn't succeed because he was talented, Plenty of talented people fail. He succeeded because he refused to stop. When the world told him no, when poverty crushed him, when his mother died thinking he'd wasted his life, when Hollywood rejected him, he kept going. That's not talent. That's survival instinct transformed into art.